This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks, with an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Brunch with Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, my afternoon show. I have a great show in store for everybody today. As y'all know, I'm on 4 days a week. Tuesday nights with Krista, Beyond BMR, 9 o'clock in the East. Thursday afternoon, right here with y'all, 1 o'clock. Friday night, story time with BMR. Fridays and Saturday night, the late show with the girls, Krista, Brandy, and Monica. Today, I have Brent Thomas sitting in with me as my co-host from the Paranormal Portal. It'll be a fantastic show. Thanks to everybody for coming on in. And right out of the gate, I got to thank my man, Keith. Where's Keith at? Keith. There he is. Great way to start the show. The Super Chat's open. Great way to help support what I do around here. You can also become a BMR pirate. Join today, mateys. Arr. Join the many, join the few, depending on your point of view. Of course, thank you for that. Also, subscribe to Brent Thomas Paranormal Portal, the Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast, Texas Front Porch, the Misfit Toys. We're all around. And we got that great event coming up. And one of our speakers, of course, at that conference in the 17th and 19th is be Mr. Thomas. And I'm going to bring up Brent just to get him acclimated. I think he's ready to roll. Hey, Brent, what's happening, man?
I'm ready to roll, brother. I'm doing good. Thanks for letting me come back and hang out with you. Yeah,
no problem, man. You know, Texas got that weird work schedule. Usually sits in with me and
sure,
things of that nature. So I want to appreciate everybody that comes in. And of course, Brent, you've got the Paranormal Portal, and you also have a podcast that everybody can check out. You're on all the, much like myself, you're on all the podcast platforms, correct?
Yeah, both my shows, the live streams and the podcast are the same title. They're two very different shows, but yeah, you can find it everywhere.
Find it everywhere. I'm just waiting on a guy to come here and put up the rest of my fence. We had a big 60-mile-an-hour straight online winds that took out my fence.
Oh, man.
So they're supposed to be between 12 and 2, man. And so everybody listening, I can finally get excuse to get that put up.
Hooray.
Prayers to all the people, though, in the Midwest and down south, man, for all the tornadoes. You know, the Blondes and Booze are in Missouri, you know, so crazy stuff going on. So, you know, it's kind of interesting to start the show. I was looking for a way to start today's show. And really quickly, I've got to scroll up here. Thanks. Okay, there's I just got to find it because this is so interesting and it's actually very cool. So bear with me. Okay. So one of my favorite sports channels that I listen to is 97.1 The Ticket. As you know, Brent, I'm a big Detroit sports fan.
Yeah.
And as I'm listening to one of my favorite shows in the morning, Carson Anderson, they every once in a while they'll go off topic a little bit for a few minutes and talk about strange news items. They're talking about a Bigfoot encounter that took place here in Michigan in Monroe County. And as soon as I heard that, of course, they're making fun of it, you know, like everybody does regarding Bigfoot. And so I was in their YouTube chat and I says, hey, Bigfoot does exist. I saw one in 2018. In fact, I have a YouTube channel. So I put that in the chat room. So here this guy, Robert Duvin, hope I said your name right, Robert. at Bigfoot Michigan Rob, I saw your comment on 97.1 FM YouTube chat a little while ago. So now I'm here.
Very
Thank you,
cool.
Robert. I guess hey, never drop your link, right, Brent?
Absolutely.
So what I did was I was very intrigued by this, and so I went on the internet, so man, I got to talk about this on the show to get the show started. So thanks, Robert. I didn't expect that. Makes me feel kind of good,
Yeah,
that somebody
absolutely.
picked up on that and they're coming on in. Hopefully you like the show. I have 4 shows during the week, Robert. So I do appreciate that because yes, Bigfoot does exist. I think that you would agree, Brent, correct?
Absolutely, I would think so. I have no doubt that it's out there. And the amount of surprising people, like even what the hell is her name? Jane Goodall has been on record saying that she believes they're out there too. She said that it might be a romanticized idea on her part, but she does bring up that North America is like the only continent without some form of great ape. So maybe these are it.
Yeah, and really briefly, Rags, $50
Wow.
super chat. Thank you
Ooh,
so much, Rags. Rags has been following me, I think, since I first started. She
wow.
follows myself and Duke Sullivan, World
Very
Bigfoot
nice.
Central, and I think a few others. And thank you so much, Rags. That is
She's heard about the
fantastic.
paranormal portal, is that right?
She's heard. She should hear. I talk about you all the time. The
Just kidding.
paranormal portal.
I'm just
Yeah,
teasing. That's really wonderful, though. Very nice of you.
yeah, thank you, Rags. I appreciate that when I get that, and as well as Keith. It doesn't matter. Your donations, everybody, not expected, but I do appreciate them, whether they're $5 or $50 or whatever you can afford. It basically just helps me keep up the internet, the StreamYard, and all the stuff we got to pay for, right? So that's
Right.
typically what I do with it. Thank you so much, Rags. I appreciate you as always. Thanks for being an awesome supporter of the show. So yeah, so absolutely, Brent. They do exist. I seen one. You've with Duke Sullivan, I just mentioned, you had some weird experiences in Montana.
Yeah, I might have caught one on camera. There's a clip of it somewhere in my archives of when I was up there in Coloma in a ghost town doing an investigation, and I was doing a kind of a panning shot of the area, and there was basically it was an old mining camp. And the way it went was there's reports of Bigfoot sightings up there. Duke has talked about it at length, I'm sure, but it's also haunted. So it's like this double whammy, and maybe there's more things going on. I've heard it's kind of a hotspot of sorts. But I was doing this panning shot in broad daylight, and I was standing near a tailings pile, which is all overgrown now with trees and stuff, because this tailings pile was made in the early 1900s. So I mean, plants are growing on it and such. But I'm doing a panning shot and didn't notice anything, and then got back and was sitting here in my home studio, and I'm editing it, and up on the tailings pile, and I only caught it because I had to keep going over this one clip, and I was like, wait, what's that? Something's moving. And what it was, there was a V of trees up there on the top of the tailings pile, and there's a big dark shadow there. And as I'm doing the panning shot, it ducks down, and I'm like, well, hell, because it was only myself and a co-investigator up there on that whole mountain at that time. His name is Dan Pruitt, and it was just he and I, and Duke and his team had moved over to a different location that day. But yeah, I mean, and I sent it to Duke, and he's like, yeah, it looks like you caught something, great eye, and we measured it a year later, and it must have been at least 8 or 9 feet tall to have been standing where it was, and me catching that on film. So that puts it out of people range for sure.
It does put it in people range for sure. I was just reading some things, and yeah, it does. But like even Rag said, I put up a thing. Rag says that Coloma is haunted as hell, because I think you found it to be very haunting yourself, didn't you?
Yeah, we got a lot of really cool activity that day, and it was actually my very first official investigation. I've lived in haunted houses and stuff and had plenty of ghostly experiences of my own, but this is the first time I actually went to a location, and Dan brought all this amazing gear, and we did some really cool investigating, and we got some incredible things coming through as far as voices and EVPs and energy spikes, including gamma bursts, which could be indicative of a portal opening. Yeah, we got some cool gamma bursts that measured there that didn't make any sense. So
Really? So you picked up a gamma burst on your equipment, is that correct? So what type of
yeah,
equipment?
it was a radiation detector. And Dan brought it up there because he's used it on some investigations, and he's he's really a sciencey guy. He's a technical person, and he's like, I bring this with because if there are portals opening and closing theoretically to another version of space, there should be gamma bursts that appear at the same time that are anomalous and don't fall into the natural range. And sure enough, on Coloma, we got a few of those, one of which happened up at this, it's almost like a Stonehenge kind of rock formation that a lot of people believe is ancient. And we did get some gamma bursts up there and also down in the town proper. So it's pretty cool.
Really quickly, Rags also asked, did you check out the monoliths in Coloma?
Yeah, that's where I'm talking about, where we did measure gamma bursts. They're these monolithic dolmens, and there's almost like this altar in the middle of it. There's like these standing tall stones kind of around you in a circle on top of this rise, and then in the middle of it there's like this altar stone. So God only knows what happened there at some point, but they may have very well opened up some kind of spiritual portal, or that's a very energetic place where natural portals occur, and that's why they built it there. It's hard to say.
It's very interesting to even bring that up because Danny Staten's also in the chat room, and he sent me a video that and I don't know if this was a cloaking Bigfoot or if it appeared from a portal. And I looked at it, and when I look at video and pictures, much like all of us, we really have to scrutinize it because you know how it rolls. You put something out there on social media, what happens. And it kind of appeared in this video that Danny sent me. He's in South Carolina, and it appeared that a Bigfoot it kind of came out of nowhere, and it appeared in the background. There's like a flash, and then all of a sudden there was an image of a humanoid up in the tree, and you could see an outline of it. And it was a pretty cool video. I'm not going to show it. It's on his YouTube, so I don't want to get stricken with the copyright.
Oh, sure. Right.
But go check out Danny Staten. He's got that over it. And I tell you what, you mentioned portals, Brent. Do you think that some of these cryptids, whether it's Bigfoot, Dogman, or what have you, do you think they... First of all, I believe that they're both supernatural and physical. We've talked about this a lot between ourselves. I think they come through a portal, don't you? Some of these entities.
It's possible. I mean, certainly the whole idea of it is pretty incredible. And there's plenty of people that's claim they've been through portals. Like they'll be walking in forest on a path that's well known to them, and suddenly everything changes. Like it can go from day to night suddenly, or from forest to tropical, and it's like they're having these weird experiences where they're suddenly in a different place. And most commonly what's reported is that people stop and they take some steps back, and suddenly they're in familiar surroundings. So I think that portals are very naturally occurring phenomena that somehow happen in the multiverse of things. And I don't necessarily mean it's dimensional, because I think oftentimes the word dimensional gets confused with multiverse. Yeah. I think that most commonly these are multiversal instances that are very close to our own and perhaps overlap. And that's where we get these portals. But yeah, I think it's very possible. I don't know. I mean, the woo stuff is, I'll be honest. I don't believe that it's not possible. I just don't know what to do with it. Like, what does that mean? How does that work? So I always go to this logical conceptualization, and I'm like drawing blanks. So it's a hard one for me, but I don't pretend that I'm the arbiter of truth, and what I say is the valid description of everything. I think anything is possible. I think that's the thing I've learned the most doing this stuff is that, man, just as soon as you think you know something, you're going to find out 5 things you didn't, and you're going to have 100 more questions.
And then when you think you know something, it's like, well, maybe what I think I know isn't exactly valid because something else comes up.
Yes, exactly.
You did mention, though, if you want to clear up some of the people, and maybe even me for that matter, when you talk the multiverse versus multi or dimensional, what's the difference? Because I always thought it was kind of the same, but I guess it's not.
Dimensions have to do with, like, one dimension is only length and width or whatever. Like it's infinitesimally small. 2 dimensions is width and height, and 3 is depth, and then 4 is, a lot of people say it's time, but I don't think that's accurate at all. I think it's another dimension that goes beyond it, like, and so on and so forth. So dimensions seem to deal with complexity or depth of the experience, but a multiverse idea is the fact that there are infinite versions of all of us experiencing an infinite possible chain of events throughout their course of our lives. The multiverse is a theory that there are duplicates and replications of this experience we're having, but to ad infinity. So there's possibly multiverse experiences where we're all lizard people instead of, Homo sapien. And there's, you know what I mean? So it's every eventuality or possibility. And maybe they're just like a hair apart, and it seems like, we don't perceive it, but that doesn't mean it's not still sharing the same space as us, but possibly on a different vibrational reality of us. And maybe that's some of what we're seeing as an overlap.
Wow. Today's show, this all kind of fits in together. No, I mean, no, it's just so much. No, I mean that, like, wow. I mean, it's just,
okay.
I just never knew the difference. I thought dimension and realm and different planes was the same thing. So it's just kind of new to me. I mean, I've only been doing this since 2018. I mean, I learn something new every day, right?
Sure.
But also, though, a couple of the things I'm going to share today has a lot to do with perhaps maybe the woo side of it or anything else. But what I wanted to share, though, since the guy from 97 won the ticket came on in, and I looked up this encounter that the guys did on the show. I found it and I copied it, so I didn't memorize it. I'm just going to read this report from the BFRO. And, of course, the guys on the radio station were making fun of it. But I got to tell you, since I'm in nowhere as I've seen one, and I think you're pretty much in that same boat, Brent. A lot of people in the chat room are. I'm going to go ahead and share this, what I just heard. This happened on Sunday. And so what I like about this, too, is here in the state of Michigan, in Monroe, Michigan. And it goes on to say that a Michigan father and 12-year-old son were both fishing in a marsh when they say they had a frightening run-in with Bigfoot. The terrifying encounter reportedly occurred this past Sunday, so just this weekend, this Sunday morning near the town of Monroe, north of Plum Creek. Quote, I was bow fishing today with my son around 11:30 a.m. We walked down the creek, Plum Creek, past 4 bridges. They were railroad bridges, and headed into the marsh. The father, Edward, wrote in his report to the Bigfoot Field Research Organization. And, of course, really quickly, that's Matt Moneymaker. So the guys were doing a little bit, because Matt Moneymaker is the one that posted this and put his name to it. And of course, the guys on the radio show, the sports radio show, oh, Matt Moneymaker. Yeah, what a name. Just they put that trying to make a fast dollar type thing. We all read into that. Yeah. He says it was 100 yards into the marsh. The dog scared of something that was bedded there. Trees were shaking. We thought it was a group of deer. We continued on 200 more yards to the Marsh Creek Basin in the marsh. He says as they paused on their trek back through cattails, when all of a sudden, he says he heard rustling in a tree to the left and a huge thud hitting the ground from the tree. Ooh. A big heavy animal, hit the ground and crouched and started to move towards me through the brush, as he recalls. My dog fired off from the right of me toward the creature. The dog almost got to it, but the creature shot off extremely fast through trees and brush. Again, I'm just reading this if it sounds kind of weird. The dog chased the creature up the slope and over the train tracks. I then called for my dog to come back. My son said, "Holy shit, what was that?" It was as big as a bear, but it looked like a gorilla. We walked back, but we heard something crunching on the ground behind us, and we left. So the follow-up here, this was sent into the BFRO, Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization investigator Matt Moneymaker followed up with Edward and his son in 2 separate phone calls. Moneymaker goes on to say, "I asked enough to discern that it was not a bear," he reported. "It was a large, dark, furred primate that ran up a slope on 2 legs, looking like a gorilla from behind. Yes, that would be a Bigfoot." This area around the marsh for Tamarack Creek is full of deer. No hunting is allowed there. Only fishing is allowed there. Consequently, there are herds of deer in the marsh and woods year round. There are lots of cattails around this marsh as well. Therefore, 2 things Bigfoot consumes, especially in the winter: cattails and deer. There are likely other food sources around this marsh as well. Moneymaker also pointed out that there are railroad tracks that run from Tamarack Creek to a large farm field that are open and dark at night. Bigfoot will walk along railroad beds for long distances, he explained. The railroad beds will sometimes bring them into pockets of woods very close to towns, as in this case. The closer a nature pocket is to a town, the greater likelihood that hunting is forbidden, so the bullets don't travel into the neighborhoods. The area becomes a de facto safe haven for deer herds. Bigfoot look for deer, so they will sometimes end up in pockets of woods near towns like Monroe, where there is enough plants and animals to sustain them. This is far from the first credible Bigfoot sighting in the state of Michigan. The BFRO has 226 such encounters recorded in its database. Last year, another Michigan man claimed he was attacked by a Bigfoot, that he was knocked out cold by the creature.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, okay, that perhaps, but you know what Moneymaker surmises there is he's pretty accurate with that area, because I've been through Monroe County. In fact, so many waterways traverse through there, or fauna can traverse through there. Where Bigfoot, as we know, we've heard many times, Brent, waterways, railroad tracks, power lines.
Yeah.
These are avenues in which Bigfoot roam.
Yeah, no doubt. And certainly Michigan has a hell of a lot of forest and lots of lands and what's the word I'm looking for? But it's not like it's all industrial. I mean, the whole place, it's very agricultural in some spots and very rugged and wooded. Like the Northern Peninsula is almost all forest. The thing is really not very widely inhabited, correct?
Oh boy, you talking about the Upper Peninsula?
Yeah, other Upper Peninsula.
Well, yeah. Well, I'll tell you this: with the state of Michigan, I live in southern Michigan. Really, I'm like an hour from the Ohio border.
Okay.
And Monroe is 45 minutes. It's closer to Ohio.
So you're on the eastern.
I'm
side?
on the eastern side. I'm like 15 minutes outside Detroit.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they call it southeastern Lower Michigan. Is basically is what we're referred to where I live, anyways.
Sure. Okay.
And yeah, there's woods around where I live, certainly, but the denser forests, you've got to travel. In some instances, maybe an hour, maybe up towards Port Huron.
Right.
And then where my Bigfoot encounter was like a 2.5, 3 hour ride in Cadillac in the Manistee National Forest. So when you get there, once you get outside of Flint, Michigan, it's just all nature, Mother Nature.
Yeah, I used to live in Lapeer.
Oh, I know exactly where that is. Yeah.
Yeah,
You used to live in Lapeer?
Yeah, I lived there for about a year back just out of high school with my cousin's family. Yeah, I lived out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of lakes around there. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Lake Orions out there. Yeah.
Yes. I got to run to the for a second. I'll be right back.
So I was reading this. So when I found this on the radio station today, I ran into that, you guys, and I got to tell you, there's a lot of accounts. There's 226, according to the BFRO, 226 accounts here in the state of Michigan. I'm sure there's far more than that because I've gotten like 8 myself from people that live in Michigan since 2018 that just happen to randomly send emails in. But Monroe is a vast area where there's been several reportings in my state of Monroe where Bigfoot has been spotted. And like what Brent was alluding to, and I've got a cool story here in a minute since he brought it up about in the Upper Peninsula about this man that came across a Bigfoot, which I'll tell that when Brent gets back so he can hear this. But I want to thank everybody for coming on in here. Rags, Christy Sci-Fi, how you doing? Eric Fry, John Temperine is in the house. Keith, hello, Keith. Hello, my buddy Gemini Moon. She lives in Port Huron. What's happening there? Diane Boss is in the house. Scrolling down. Hello, Joanne. How are you? Good to see you. Jason Finch. Hello. Good to see you. A lot of the same people are chatting in here. There's over 40 of you already in here, so same people are chatting it up. All Things Beastie. Are you new? I don't know. First time seeing you. Welcome to the show. Hello, Tyler. How's it going? Amanda. How's it going, Amanda? And there's Brent. So for where I live, Brent, like I'm saying, Monroe, Michigan, there's Bigfoot. And then you mentioned about the Upper Peninsula. Now, if you go, let's say where I live in southeastern Michigan, if I were to walk into a tavern or a restaurant and bring up Bigfoot, you get that weird look.
Sure.
You know, but if you go over the bridge, the Mackinac Bridge, and you stop into a local establishment and you bring up Bigfoot, you don't get that weird look. It's like,
Right.
yep. Oh, yeah, they're here. There was this story that I got some time. I've told this before, but since we're on the subject and you asked about the Upper Peninsula, this was just kind of creepy, Brent. And at the same time, kind of validated a lot of things, really. I mean, as far as UP goes, because it is very desolate. It's hard to get through. And I imagine there's so much uncharted territory in the UP because of the denseness of the forest.
Right.
So this guy sent me this email a couple of years ago, and he lives just out in the foothills of the Porcupine Mountains. And he's a Bigfoot researcher, as he goes on to explain to me. But he never had found really any evidence, but he's been doing this for several years and heard about the legend, the lore, people in town saying, yes, they've seen Bigfoot. So this guy, a Bigfoot dwarf, this guy was really into it quite a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was really into it quite a bit. Whoa, I got a surprise guest. My co-host on Tuesday night, my buddy. I'm going to pull her up. What's up, Krista?
Hey, I thought I would come hang out with two of my favorite people. So
yeah, you thought you'd invade our space, eh?
I did. I just seen it was the two of you guys. I've been lurking for a little bit. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna jump.
Hey,
on.
did you hear the cool story about 97.1 the ticket? There's a guy. They were talking about a Bigfoot encounter just that happened on Sunday, and they were making fun of it. And then I posted on their YouTube page, "Hey, Bigfoot's real." So there's a guy in the chat room that saw that, and now he's here. His name's Robert from Michigan.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
Cool.
hey, that was pretty cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
So good to see you, Krista.
Yeah, good to be here.
So
Great to see you. It's been a long time, Krista.
Yeah, it has been. And I'm home today from work, and just because I didn't feel like going in, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sick. I'm fine. I just didn't feel like going in this morning.
well,
So
that's great. That's a great thing working from home, though.
I'm not even working. I got some PTO. I'm just gonna use a PTO day.
Oh,
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Well, it's a nice surprise. So we're talking about the Bigfoot. I believe that this man in Monroe saw Bigfoot. Bigfoot exists.
Mhm.
Brent and I know they exist. You've seen a Bigfoot.
Mhm.
You know they exist.
Yep.
And so Brent was asking me about the Upper Peninsula, how vast it is, a lot of uncharted land. So I'm revisiting a story I told maybe last year about this guy that was a Bigfoot researcher in the Porcupine Mountains over the bridge in Mackinac. Over the Mackinac Bridge in the Porcupine Mountains. So, and he knows they exist. He doesn't know. He's not a knower, a believer, right? So he's Sparky Outdoor. How you doing? So yeah, this guy goes on to tell me, Rob, I was off one of these roads, these back roads at the foothills of the Porcupine Mountains, and he got this feeling that this is an idea where he go explore. So he gets out of his vehicle. He had a Jeep Wrangler, if I recall correctly. And he saw somewhat of an opening, because again, it's like Brent was asking, it's along the wood line is very dense, but he saw kind of an opening. So he has a machete, he's hacking his way through it, and he gets through maybe 90 feet where it kind of opens up. There's a bigger opening, and he's walking. Then he sees all this foliage of trees, and they kind of made like a tunnel, like made of trees, though. You know how we have the tunnel of trees in Traverse City you don't know that, Krista, but we have the tunnel of trees in Upper Michigan, where it's a big, long 5-mile tunnel you can drive in its trees. It's very beautiful. He goes, it wasn't quite like that, Rob, but it was a lot shorter, maybe 5 foot tall for a man to kind of walk through. And he starts walking through this tunnel of trees and foliage. And it was so dense that it kind of darkened the sun out. And it was just enough light where you could see where he was going without a flashlight. So he's not paying any attention, you guys. And then he notices odd smell of like dead meat, like a carcass. And he's looking up and around. He's not paying attention to where he's walking, but then he trips over and falls down. And as he hits the ground, it's very damp and it's very moist. And he gets up and he kind of screams like a little girl, he says to me, because his hands, his arms, and his stomach were all covered in blood.
Ooh.
And it was a fresh kill of a deer. The
Oh,
carcass he tripped over.
wow.
So now this guy is freaking out. Now he thinks he stumbled into a bear den, right?
Beer den. Beer den's a bar, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely
Send me there. I'll go to the beer den.
You know, yeah, a beer den in the bear den. How about that? You know.
There you go.
So,
Hey, I'm going to black out real quick and grab my tea, but I'll be right back.
yeah, go ahead. So he gets up, and now he's scared, Brent, and everybody listening and watching. So now he's kind of like, yep, I'm in a beer den, beer. Jeez, oh, peace. I guess I'm going to have a beer after the show. The bear den. He thinks he's in a bear den. So he turns around, but then he realizes that he can't turn around and leave the way he came in, because what he notices about 50 to 60 feet, Brent, down this tunnel of trees, he sees a set of glowing eyes, big bulbous glowing eyes.
Oh no.
And this thing is approaching this guy. Now, as I mentioned, if you caught on earlier, this is only 5 feet tall, and he's kind of crouched down. He's over 5 foot tall. And this thing, as he's looking, it was low to the ground. The eyes were no more than a foot above ground. And it was kind of reminded him, and he's thinking in his mind, what the hell can this be? Because from both sides of this tunnel, he notices like these arms. And he's thinking, it's a huge, gigantic spider.
Ugh.
And we've all heard about how sometimes Sasquatch or Bigfoot do that spider crawl,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not thinking it's that. He's thinking it's just some humongous unknown spider. That's what he's thinking.
Mm.
So now he can't turn around and exit. He's got to go past the way where he tripped over the deer. And he's in this tunnel of trees. And as he's going forward, he can hear this thing getting closer. And he's just praying for an exit, an entrance onto a road. Then he sees a glimmer of light ahead. And he doesn't want to run because he knows that if you run, you instantly, predators, they're gonna snatch you up, right? But he still thinks he's a goner anyway. He doesn't know what this thing is that's following him through the tunnel.
Wow.
He finally gets to the edge of the tunnel. He trips out of the tunnel into daylight, and there's this big meadow. And at the end of the meadow is another tree line of the forest in the Porcupine Mountains. So he gets up and he says, screw it. He just starts running through his meadow. But then his instincts stop him in his tracks. Says, nope, don't run. So he says, Rob, I stop and I look. And he says, standing there at the edge, at the base of that tunnel is this humongous humanoid looking figure, black. He goes, had been 8 or 9 foot tall, standing on 2 legs. And he goes, Rob, I think it was a Bigfoot. And it let out this like whoop sound. We've all heard the whoops at him. He looked at it. Then it got down on all fours, crouched again, and went back through the tunnel. But now he's not going. Now he's thinking, where the hell am I? I'm not going through there again. So now he's lost. Don't know where he's at. Don't know how long he's been running. So he starts trekking, and the only way he can do now, he has got to trek through this other tree line because the meadow ends and there's the woods. There's no roads. This is the Upper Peninsula, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
He finds a trail cut into the tree line, and he's like, little more, thank you, Lord, there's a trail, so people traverse this. He says he's on the trail 15 minutes or whatever he was. Then it led him to an interstate road. Now he is relieved.
Yeah.
Gets out. Of course, there's no cars. Doesn't know where he's at. And he just he picks a direction to turn and starts walking. He says he's walking 5 or 10 minutes, and a semi-truck, a logging truck, starts coming down the road. He's like, oh, cool, blah, blah, blah. He's going to try to flag this trucker down. Gets out in the middle of the road, waving his hands back and forth. And this trucker slows up, stops. The trucker looks at this guy covered in blood. Right, he's like, hey, no, I'm not a murderer. I'm not a, this is deer blood, this, that, or the other. Please, I don't know where I'm at. I'm lost. I had this traumatic experience. Truck driver says, kind of got the sense that he was telling the truth, lets him in the truck, the semi logging truck. And he goes, where are you headed? He goes, I don't know. My car was over on whatever road it was. He goes, man, you're way away from your car, my friend. And the guy says, can you get me at least close or at least to a gas station so I can call somebody? He goes, I'll take you to your vehicle if that's where your car is. I know. He goes, I know these parts. So the truck driving guy starts asking him some questions. And he says, so what happened, man? And he goes, you're not going to believe me if I tell you. And he goes on to tell me, yeah, I'm into Bigfoot. I was looking for this research. I found this spot, this, that, and the other. I got in this tunnel of trees, and I stumbled across a dead carcass of the deer. And then I get up, and he says, again, you're not going to believe me. I seen this huge, like, spider, I'm thinking at the time, is in there following me. So I get out of this tunnel. He goes, and when I get out, he goes, man, this big humanoid, I think it's a Bigfoot, just emerged, stood up, went back on all fours, went back in the tunnel. And he goes, yeah, you saw Sasquatch, man. They're all around here. He goes, you've definitely seen Sasquatch.
Wow.
And so now the guy is relieved, and he goes, yeah, I don't know that he would have, taken your life or anything. I don't know what the words are on YouTube anymore. Can you even say that? I don't know. But anyways,
Good enough.
Unalived. Just stick with
Yeah,
that.
I don't think he would unalive you, this, that, and the other. So he gets into his Jeep, gets back in, and he takes off, gets home, has a good yarn to tell his friends. Now he is a believer, a knower. And he goes, yeah, so Rob, that's my experience. And so, yeah. Brett asked me this question about 10 minutes ago, and I answered it for you about, it took me an hour to do. But yeah, how about that, though? So, hey, they're here. They're everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine what that would feel like, though, to be in like a tunnel of trees, and then you look back and that's coming, and not even be able to be sure what the hell it is. I mean, honestly, I think the idea of it being a giant spider is much more terrifying to me because, you don't think about a spider and think, well, maybe it'll be nice. I mean, if a spider's coming, it's going to eat you. That's it. That's all you got cooking. But if the Bigfoot, usually they're not really aggressive, and people see them and it's fine. So the whole spider thing freaks me out.
Oh, the whole spider thing, and I do not like spiders. I have so many different phobias anyway.
Yeah,
and a spider. Yeah, spiders. I can't imagine. You got to figure. The eyes, as he explains to me, are hovering about a foot off the ground. Big eyes.
No.
And he could see arms that were kind of extended from either side of the tunnel. So it's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
going to say, here's the thing too. Okay. So he's in the tunnel. So he can't even turn around and go back to like where his car was. You know what I mean? Take that way. So like, what do you do? Like, I would be flipping my crap.
Oh yeah. I lost. Yeah. I can't imagine. I'm just picturing this scenario. You go through this traumatic experience for one, you turn around, you see a Bigfoot, and then you see this meadow, then there's nothing but the forest in front of you again. Luckily, it's daytime, as he says, it's maybe 1, 2 in the afternoon. But you got to trudge through the forest to hopefully get to a road. And the Upper Peninsula is not a place you want to get lost in. Really, he got lucky.
Yeah.
Yes, he did. Very.
He did.
In a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, he got lucky. But what an incredible experience. I mean, that's really a lot of Bigfoot encounters are like, wow, I was hiking and heard some noise in the brush, looked up, and there was this creature standing in the path. And that's like the gist of it. But this guy's in a tunnel of trees. He's got something chasing him through it, and it looks like a spider. Then it stands up, and it's a huge. I mean, that's a Hollywood type of experience.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Just stacked with suspense. Wow.
Yeah. That's a scary one.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. That's always stuck with me. That's I do have that in my first book. I put that. It was worthy of getting put in that.
Oh yeah. That's all. Yeah.
Well, you talked about the Bigfoot being like on off, or spider crawling and stuff too. I know I have a friend, Gabby Henderson, at the Land Between the Lakes. She had a dogman encounter, and it was creepy crawling on all fours.
Oh,
that's
really?
gonna be even worse. Yikes.
Yeah. So I mean, I think they all do it. Bigfoot, the dogman.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Who was that again? Do I know her?
It was Gabby Henderson. Mm-hmm. Gabby and Elijah Henderson.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got their own channel. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, they were with a couple other people. Elijah didn't see it, but Gabby and another person did.
It's the kind of thing you can't unsee too. I mean, like once you've seen it, it's in there. It's going to be there always.
If I'm gonna, like run into like a dog man or something, I want it to be on twos.
Yeah.
Fours are just that would freak me out. I'm just saying.
You said you want it to be on twos?
I would like for it to be on twos. Yeah. I'd like for it to be bipedal, not on creepy crawling.
Yeah.
No, I can't imagine that. I've seen I don't think they were real pictures, but I've seen the depictions of the Bigfoot or Sasquatch doing the spider crawl. Mm-hmm. That just is disturbing.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to think there might be a towering giant out there, but it's a whole level of creepier that it might be crawling along the wood line on the ground. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
That creeps me out.
It's kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Very much so. Yeah, kind of.
Just in time this weekend, because I'm going to be out, and Brandy and I were going out to the woods this weekend.
Woo!
Where are you guys going?
Well, it's close. It's not far from here, and it's we're going with Miguel Ramirez from Sasquatch Theory.
Ah, yes.
Nice.
This weekend, and we're Paranormal Paul's I think going to come over, and our friend Terry Mosby, and some of our team members from Haunted Souls. So be fun.
And I got to tell you what, we had Miguel on maybe 3 or 4 beginning of this month.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, first of all, he's got a great channel, Sasquatch Theory, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I'm glad we got a chance to meet him. You met him before I did.
Mm-hmm.
But I must tell you, you talk about a magnet for the paranormal and Bigfoot.
Absolutely.
And I was on the show, and he's had many people on the show about their experiences. Mm-hmm. I had no idea, Chris, of all the things he's come across personally himself.
No.
He could do a whole video on himself on his channel.
Absolutely, he could. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to this weekend, spending some one-on-one time with them and stuff out in the woods. I think it's going to be pretty good.
Which kind of brings me up to a question. Me and Krista have talked about this, Brent. I want your take on this. And
okay.
Krista, you can obviously chime in. Why do you think certain people, and it doesn't even have to be cryptids, once they have an encounter and experience, they have many of them? Because I know several people that have been researching Bigfoot and even the paranormal for 10, 15, 20 years. Now, me and Chris always say your intentions, but they never come across anything. And there's a person like myself that wasn't a researcher. I come across something. Well, I've seen all sorts of paranormal things in my entire life, but there are people that just come across these things, and all of a sudden they see one. Then 6 months later, they see another one. Yeah. A year later, they see another one, and they aren't even looking for these things. Yep. Do you think? Right. What do you? I mean, I get that so often that I think it's a valid question to ask. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, and that's something that really blew my mind away too, as I started talking to more and more experiencers, was like, there seems to be, in a lot of cases, if they weren't dealing with it their entire life, there was one catalyzing moment where they saw something. And I think it's maybe many-fold for an explanation. Like one factor may very well be that an awareness opened up in them, in their mind, in their energy, in their perception, where, I mean, if you're living your life like most people, it's you got blinders on and you're doing whatever you're doing, and that's what your focus is. But then something out of absolutely blowing you away that happened, that's beyond explanation. I think it triggers an awareness in us. So maybe it's after a person has seen something like that, they're more likely to notice other things that maybe they wouldn't have before. So maybe some of it is the person's awareness. I certainly believe that there's something of an energy principle to it that, like some people just seem to attract things, and it seems to be a resonance. Like some things are drawn to people, like hauntings. There's some people that deal with hauntings no matter where they are doing whatever. And I think that there's a resonance that is happening, and they serve as somewhat of a beacon. And I imagine that can be same for the cryptids and for potentially UFO or anything, that these people just have a bright light, so to speak. And that's not to diminish anyone else, but maybe there's also, and this is absolutely just a wild theory, but it almost makes me think of like, maybe there's some kind of quantum entanglement that happens. It's maybe not predicated on one particle, two particles from the same atom, which usual quantum entanglement is, but it's just like some sort of connection has happened now between you and all of this other stuff that seems to exist a little bit beyond our normal realm. And so that maybe that again gets back to the awareness, but I've been spitballing the same thing for years, and that's my best idea so far.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea. Me and Chris always volleyball back and forth with your intention. Like if you have no good intentions, they're not going to show themselves.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
which I believe a lot of the intent thing with since I've been palling around with Chris over the last several years. I also think too, like all the reports that you see on these websites like the BFRO, or even a lot of the stuff that I get in, 90% of the time it's not the researcher, Brent, Krista, it's the person that's camping with the family.
Yeah.
They have no clue. They could care less about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Yet they come roaming through their camp.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a theory about that one, Rob.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, my theory about that one is that the interesting thing, the most basic principle of it that I think distinguishes one from the other is that one is looking for it and the other isn't. And by that I mean, I think that these things are aware of us as soon as we step in the forest. Like they're already watching and they're observing. But I think they're intelligent enough to go, why does it look at that tree break that I made or the other day? What's going on? Why are they pouring that stuff in my footprints? Why are they collecting hair? So I think maybe they think they're being hunted. And that of course creates, that, oh, this is not safe. They're after us. Stay back. But then you got Joe Smith and the family truckster out there having a bonfire, playing, laughing. And so it's not intimidating to them to feel like they want to go check it out. So I think you're right about the intention, but I think it also, there's plenty of observational evidence that they could look and go, why are they looking where we slept? Look where we made our bed. They're over there messing with it. They're after us. And I think these things have survived by, basically staying away from us, at least in that extent. So that's my take on it.
Yeah. I like to take another thing. I often get, like from my brother. My brother does believe in Bigfoot today. He does. Back then, he didn't really grain of salt type of thing. But you get all these hunters. I've been in the woods hunting 10 years, 15, 20 years. I've never seen a Bigfoot. And you get that more from the hunting community than anybody. And what I kind of surmised about it is, well, number one, you're not looking.
Right.
And number two, like what you had said, Brent, Bigfoot knows that a gun will hurt them. A rifle will hurt them. Hell no, they're not going to show themselves.
Right.
Because you don't know what a Yahoo might do with that rifle. Oh, what the hell is that? I'm going to take a shot at it.
Right.
They don't want no part of that.
True. Plus, too, maybe, just like showing up in people's camps and stuff late at night while they're sleeping, I think there's like, maybe smell of foods and stuff too, might attract them.
True. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
I've heard stories of the Bigfoot running through and just eating all their hot dogs, their hamburgers, and hooking out of there. I mean, you think about a lot of the Bigfoot encounters in some instances are quite funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They ate all the peanut butter. That was all that's all they did. I mean,
So
really,
do you think they got a sense of humor? I'm kind of curious.
I probably think they do.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah.
I would say so. Like,
yeah. Like, hey, watch this. Hold my beer. Watch what I'm going to do.
Well,
I mean, you got to think I believe there's good Bigfoot and there's bad Bigfoot.
Oh, sure.
Same thing, so why not have a sense of humor,
Yeah.
I mean, and really quickly, like my Bigfoot today, I don't think was bad. I just think he did. I think my Bigfoot was a rogue that got booted out of a clan. So he was probably just a very angry individual.
Yeah.
And when I say individual, I think they do have a sense of humor because I'm not going to call. Hey, listen, you'll never catch me saying the gentle forest giant because of my experience.
Yeah.
And I know people get upset with me when I say that, but I don't think they're evil today.
Right.
Sure.
Like Krista, you said, there's good and bad in every walk of life. There is
everything. I mean,
and I do
dogs, cats, everything.
I do think that Bigfoot has a human element. They're not. I'm not in the ape group. I mean, I think there's a human DNA somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you hear them. For instance, like the Sierra Sounds people talk about, and or like that maybe they were arguing or something like that. That's stuff that we do, and then I'm sure there's times that, they're happy and laughing and having a good time as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's all human-like qualities.
Mm-hmm. I got this email. I'm going to read this. I don't have it was just kind of like another report I'm going to share with you guys, and we can go over this. And I always love these when they come from the First Nations people, because I tell you what, they're the ones I love talking to them, because you get both sides of the coin, the flesh and blood versus the supernatural or the spiritual is more what they would go with. And this was an encounter at an Indian reservation in 1975. And the emailer says to me, "My name is Cheryl, a Mohawk Indian who grew up on the Onondaga Indian Reservation. I'll never forget when my cousin and I saw Bigfoot. We were both 11 years old, March 11th, 1975, at 11 a.m. We left my aunt's house that morning and decided to cut through the woods, thinking it would be safer than two young girls walking along the road. Throughout our walk, it seemed that we were being watched.
Mm-hmm.
We finally arrived at the halfway point of our journey when we reached the local abandoned gravel pits. I slid down the embankment first, and my cousin followed. I started to play on the frozen mud puddle when she started to climb back up the hill to retrieve her glove. She called me to come near her, but didn't get it right away until finally her persistence frightened me. She grabbed me close and said, a big black arm just tried to grab me. Thinking that maybe a hunter had followed us, or even a black man was lurking in the woods, frightened us enough to make a run for the road. As we got to the road, we both saw the big figure walk through some 6 to 8 foot sumac trees. Sumac, okay. Its head and shoulders were over the tops of the trees, and we could imagine how it could have traveled to the other side of the pit, which was at least 150 feet from where she first saw the arm. We ran the rest of the way home and told our family we had seen Sasquatch. Of course, everyone laughed at us. As the years passed by and we were told the exact same story, our families believe us now. Looking back, I have concluded that Bigfoot was heading towards an underground cave that is sacred to the Onondaga. I believe that this cave connects other Indian reservations by underground channels. Indian legends tell stories that Bigfoot is a spirit that protects the Indians. That is probably why no one has ever found any proof of his existence. I have had many dreams of Bigfoot where he comes back with others like him. Their calls are frightening. When I walk in the woods, I am afraid that I will see him again. I wonder if I saw him because of if the world ever ends, I have dreamt that will be the one to lead my people underground until the earth heals itself from all of the destruction that is forecasted. It is forecasted that our earth is consumed in flames to cleanse herself. The Indian will come up from the underground to begin life again. Hoping you like this story. Just to let you know, Rob, I've sent this to other blogs and websites. So to let you know you weren't the first, I came across your channel several months ago. Thank you if you decide to share this.
So did this person say what state it is? Because we have an Onondaga cave here in Missouri.
No, that's all I got. I just read it word for word how she sent this to
I
me.
actually used to live like a mile from that Onondaga cave in Missouri. So that's why I was asking.
And just for reference for everybody, she did mention that she sent this to other blogs and websites. So I just want to make that clear. I just didn't get this. This has been out there in case people have heard that story. I don't know. I obviously never heard it. So no, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, let me ask you this: with certain tribal nations, they're just predominant to one territory, right? Would like what do we have here? I don't know. Are Cherokee just in one state, or are they in multiple states? I never really.
The Cherokee Nation used to be huge. I mean, it was many states worth. Yeah, it was enormous. In fact, it was probably one of the most predominant First Nations tribes on the eastern and central parts of the country, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rag says, yeah, multiple. I guess they are multiple states. I don't know, Chris. I should not leave that information.
I just Googled it to see how many Onondaga caves. So far, Missouri is the only one that's showing up. So
Really?
I find that interesting.
Oh.
Well, once again, your state's got, you've got Dogman.
You are the cave state. Missouri is known as the cave state, just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you second? Must be the second runner up to Kentucky, right?
I have no idea. All I know is a bunch of states.
Kentucky's got tons of caves too, I heard.
Yeah, they're all.
Well, Missouri's got everything too. Yeah, you guys got haunted stuff, Bigfoot, Dogman.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting, though, how she, again, when we revert back to First Nations, spiritual leaders, these Bigfoot, these Sasquatch, as they call them. Hopefully, one day when the world ends, that the Sasquatch will lead them out. I mean, that's her thinking, according to that email, right?
Mm-hmm.
Different way of thinking.
Yeah, interesting for sure.
What's interesting as well is the varied accounts of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, from tribe to tribe. Some of them have looked at them as these benevolent creatures. Some of them have looked at them as just another tribe of forest people. And then others have looked at them as, adversaries and doing battle with them and having villagers taken. So like there's this whole spectrum of First Nation experiences with what we understand as Bigfoots,
Yeah, very interesting.
No, I hear you there, Brett. It's like the one thing that we can all agree on, we agree on most things, is that when it comes to Sasquatch or Bigfoot, it's the cultures and the people's belief systems are not all in tune, right? There's one set of people or cultures that believe one way. There's another set that believes it another way. And then you'll have a culture that believes both ways.
Right. Yeah.
Some people even believe that the Dogman, believe it or not, is the protector of the forest.
Yeah.
Well, there's also some First Nations references that say that Dogman or whatever, I don't know the traditional name for it, is also a guardian of portals and burial mounds.
Maybe that's why they're seen around cemeteries a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, we did a show on why do Dogmen always show up at cemeteries?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So where I'm going to be this weekend, I will tell you, it's like a mile away from that Dogman Road I was talking about, and there's some old abandoned cemeteries. So,
be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. I got a cemetery not too far from here up the road. We got to hang out at one night.
I got one right down the road. My property touches it.
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that.
Yep.
I don't have any cemeteries near me, so
you're good, right?
I probably asked you, Chris, have you ever been through that place? Any looking around for paranormal stuff?
Oh yeah. But
there's haunted or nothing, no activity.
Not really, no. Brandy and I, because she's got one close to her too. We thought about going live, doing one of our shows. I'll sit at this cemetery, and she sits at the one by hers, and do a show from the cemeteries, 2 different cemeteries. But yeah, I've never really nothing down there.
I had to say hello to Duke. I see Duke came in the chat.
Yeah, he snuck in the back door.
Very cool. We were just talking about Coloma earlier, Duke, just so you know.
Yeah, Duke was on last Thursday. We had a great show. We talked some mountain giants.
Cool.
And of course, Duke had a lot of pictures from his last research outing. If you didn't see last Thursday's show with me and Duke, it was great.
I caught that replay.
Yeah, a lot of cool pictures. Duke always comes up with something interesting,
Yeah.
as always.
Very cool.
He was at Coloma last Wednesday, Brett.
Oh, cool. I'd like to get back up there sometime. That was a really cool place. Both times I was there, got some really incredible spirit activity and voices through the equipment. So really cool stuff.
Cool.
I remember Duke was telling me, thank you so much, Amy. 5 new pirates. Amy Creel, 5 new pirates. While we're at it, thanks to Keith from Michigan, $5 super chat. Thank you, Keith. Keith says he had a great time with Brandy and Tex when he was last on the show.
Yep. I apologize to Keith for not being on. I honestly, I a lot of you guys know I'm doing the weight loss shots, and I do them on Thursdays, which when I get done here, I'm getting ready to go do it. And sometimes it makes me sick. I think that's what happened that night. I just wasn't feeling very good. So text.
And in my latest stalker, Rags, she says,
wow,
Rags. Thanks, Rags. Appreciate you
great.
as well.
So
Brent,
not being on my show.
Yeah, Brent, Duke was telling me that you missed on the Glag sighting because you didn't have your glasses on or something.
When it was just after Dan and I got done hiking all over the area and doing different investigative stuff. I mean, here's the thing. I'm kind of a pudgy guy, right? And I'm not in really good shape. And I'll tell you, the oxygen's a lot less up there. At least that's what I'm blaming it on. So I got back and I was like, took my glasses off. I'm sweaty and I'm just sitting there going, oh. And then Kevin came up and said, hey, I want to show you something. And I'm like, oh, okay. Can I talk to you? He said, can I talk to you? And I want to show you something. I'm like, yeah. So we walked down the path and then we got to a spot. And that's when he claimed that Glag was there. Now I had taken my glasses off, didn't even think about putting them on because I mean, it was dark. I didn't expect to see much anyway. And, I just didn't think of it. And then we're out there. He's like, he's up there on the hill. And honestly, I looked for all I was worth, but, doing the squinty stuff, but I didn't see it. Honest to God, I wish I did. I really do. I think that could have been like an incredible event. But, I will tell you that the energy up there is off the charts. And, usually I if I can't see something, I trust my vibes, but my vibes are all over the map anyway up there. And I just told Kevin, I said, well, I can't see anything, but I can tell you that I feel the vibration in the air. It's so intense up here. And so he claimed it was there. I wish I could have seen it. I really do. And, it's one of the big regrets of my life, but I tried. I just wasn't going to march back, an eighth of a mile back to the truck and grab my glasses and try to get back out there and see something. Sure. But yeah, so it was, I did my best, but I just honestly can't say that I saw it. That's, and I'm not claiming that it wasn't there. I'm just saying I wasn't able to see it. So,
right.
Yeah.
That happens to the best of us.
Yeah. If I didn't have contacts in, I couldn't see my face in the mirror.
Yep.
Really? You're
my eyes. Well, when I was a kid, the doctor told my mom that I was quote unquote legally blind.
Oh,
I don't know if I go that far. I mean,
yeah,
I can see.
Yeah.
How thick are your contacts, Rob? Are we?
No, they're paper thin. I mean, they're
okay. All right. I'm just making sure.
And even my glasses that I don't wear, I mean, aren't thick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I have to wear glasses to see up close. I can see far away. Great. It's just up close. That's why I always wear glasses during shows.
Yeah, I can't see close or far.
I can see far. I can see far, but I can't see detail. And close up, I'm usually pretty good. But there's sometimes I got to tell you, my eyes get blurry just staring at these screens. So I sometimes wear my glasses too. Yeah, Duke, I did mention that on the show too about catching that shadow ducking down, that 8 or 9 foot shadow. That I mentioned that a little earlier on the show. That was really cool.
It's funny we're talking about being able to see because I just did this maybe 3 days ago. I woke up early in the morning and I didn't feel like making any coffee, but I just wanted to get some coffee. So I drove up to the local Tim Hortons that I have, not too far up the street, maybe half a mile.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't put in my contacts or nothing just for that, because So I put on my glasses and I'm driving, and then for whatever the reason, you guys, I started thinking about my optometrist that told my mom I was legally blind. And so I was thinking in my head, these are the weird things I think about. So I pull into Tim Hortons, get my coffee, pay for it, and I took off my glasses. I wanted to test my vision. So I attempted to drive home from the Tim Hortons without wearing my glasses.
How did it work out?
Don't recommend it. Yeah. Yeah. We couldn't see. Here's the problem. I could see the cars in front of me, but there was some idiot jaywalking.
Oh, yeah.
And I just happened to, and I did not see him.
Oh, you better wear your
well, here's the thing, everybody listening. For whatever the reason, I started getting a little uncomfortable. See, I would just I probably, in my neighborhood, I could probably get around. But then when I put on my glasses, 50 feet in front of me is some old guy jaywalking, which I probably would have ran him over if I did not put my glasses on in the nick of time.
Maybe save your vision challenges when you're in an empty parking lot or something.
Right, or on a gravel road or something.
Yeah, it's like 6:30 in the morning. It's kind of dusky dawn, It's kind of raining because we've had rain the last 5 days.
Perfect time to challenge your vision.
It was, oh man,
Right?
it was a challenge. I put that to the test.
At least you didn't hit the guy, so hey, it worked out.
I would have probably missed him anyways, but it was too close to call. Too close to call,
That's funny.
Oh man. Hello, Life with Bobby. Good to see you. Good to see everybody that came on in. If you're new here, please subscribe to Bigfoot Mr. Rob on YouTube. Brent Thomas, the Paranormal Portal. The Blondes and the Booze Paranormal Podcast with Kristen and Brandy. Of course, Duke Sullivan. When I see Duke World Bigfoot Central, once in a while, we talk about the Glag saga. And Duke was on last Thursday. You really, if you're not subscribed, go check out that saga. Because he'll never do it, but he's not a sellout. Duke's not a sellout. You could make a great, epic Netflix movie out of that saga. Would you not agree, Brent?
Oh yeah, I mean that experience it stands all on its own. I've never heard anything quite like it, and having had the benefit of talking with Kevin and interviewing as well.
Yes,
the emotion that guy put out. Either he's an Oscar grade actor, or he was absolutely telling the truth. And I mean, it was real. The emotion, as far as I could tell. That guy was pouring his heart out in that story. So it's incredibly powerful. It's incredibly tragic and a lot of other things, but that's really fascinating. Yeah. It would make a hell of a movie.
Yeah. Chris, so you would enjoy it too. I know what your tastes are. You would really dig it. It's really, it takes a few days to get through all of them. It's really pretty cool.
Okay.
What do you got going on tonight, Chris? Today's Thursday. I'm getting ready to wrap it up because they're doing my fence. I see the guys out there. I'm not going out there until we're done here. They got to work. Did I tell you, Chris, that I had to get a new fence put in?
You did not tell me.
Tree came down, crashed, and took out my front fence.
Oh, that sucks.
They were supposed to be here last week. In fact, when Duke was here.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. So what you got going on tonight? Any cool? It's always a cool show.
We have D.A. Whitesong. Brandy and I.
D.A. Yes, talking about her books.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great, right?
Yep. So that's it.
Well, that's it. And I'll be calling you later because you got another question on our airline situation.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Yay, my favorite.
I was thinking about that too. Because like with the conference, we'll probably have to stay longer than what we anticipated, because if we rent tables and chairs, we're gonna have to get everything back. So you might not want to fly out until Monday. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I'll have to, well, I'm going to write that down. Jeez, you just threw a whole monkey wrench in what I was going to tell you.
Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you came on because, yeah, you know.
When are you coming down, Brent? What night are you going to be here?
So I'm thinking if I show up on Thursday, I think I'm showing up that Thursday. I'll have to look at my notes again, but yeah. So I'm going to have both days of activities. And then I think I start back on Sunday, I think, if I'm remembering correctly.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, it's going to be 21 hours each way driving. So that'll be an adventure in road travel.
Are you coming by yourself?
Yeah, it's going to be just me. Yeah.
Wow. Well,
couldn't talk to anyone else
tonight, so.
Oh, you know what though? Sheldon, my son is going to be there as well. Cool. He's going to come from Minnesota down and meet. We're going to meet there. So
is that the one you refer to as the Minion, or is that your other?
No, Sheldon's my oldest son. The Minion is.
Hey, I got to take this phone call. It's an important one, so I got to sign off. But
yeah, we're getting ready to wrap it up. Go check out Krista tonight, you guys, at 9:00.
Yeah. But yeah, the Minion is my 9-year-old, so he's still quite young. But my old Sheldon is 30, so I got quite a spread. I got a middle son in there, Oliver, as well. He was 22 now.
Yeah, the mini soda.
Yeah.
Hello, Smokey. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming on in. This is a great show. Thanks for the super chats. Brent, of course, thank you. Thanks for Christopher popping on. I'm going to cut it a little early because I have to go supervise what's going on outside. If you're just coming in, I'm sorry. We normally go 90 minutes. We're going to cut it a little bit short because of my yard situation here. But if you did come in, though, Brent, this is a great show. Go back and watch the replay because, there was a couple cool stories we did earlier. One of the radio station people caught me talking about there was a Bigfoot encounter that took place here in Michigan Sunday. They talked about it on the radio show, and I chimed in, hey, they exist. And so a few people from 97.1 The Ticket showed up today on this show. That's pretty cool. And thank you guys. Thanks for that. Brent, where can we find you?
Find me, go to paranormalportal.net, and that'll show you everywhere that I am and get all the information on when the live shows are, when to catch the podcast, which is weekly. And today actually in about 20 minutes, I got to do an interview for my podcast. So that's going to be coming up today, but no live show tonight. Not till Saturday.
Not till Friday, Saturday. Thanks to Keith. Thanks to Rags. Thanks to Amy once again for your awesome contributions. Always appreciated. Never expected. Love you guys. Love everybody in the chat room. And for those of you that watch the replay and those that are watching now that don't participate in chat, you're just as valuable a member, a viewer, a subscriber, whatever you want to call yourself. You're all equal. So great show, Brent. And maybe you'll be back on next week. I'll let you know what's going on. You know how I roll. I don't have nothing planned yet. And
it's good though. You actually give me notice. Text gives me about 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, you know how text. 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 This is a text from Tex.
Yeah.
Want to do a show? When? 4 minutes. No, thank you. Bye. No, literally, that's what he does.
He's not a distance planner, but
yeah, he's not for the long haul. He's short term. Boom.
Yeah.
With that being said, everybody, thank you so much for coming in. Check out the Blondes and Booze tonight. At DAY Song will be a guest. She's been on this show before. She's really cool, awesome author.
Yeah, neat
talks
person.
paranormal stuff, so it'll be very nice. Thank you, Brent. Thanks, Krista. I'll be signing you out of here. Have a great day, everybody.
This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks. With an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.